Some Switch games sound great on paper, but the reality can be a very different story. I'm Alice, and we're checking out 25 releases that can make your money feel wasted. I've researched current worst Switch game searches and discussions for 2026, so let's dive in.
Game number 1, Mortal Kombat 1, should have been an easy recommendation, but the Switch version turned a flashy fighting game into a technical compromise. The visuals lose detail, and performance can make the action feel less responsive than it should. Matches can look rough, character models lose detail, and performance struggles make the action feel less responsive than it should. The core combat is still fun, which makes the downgrade more frustrating. I would honestly play this one elsewhere if possible. And if you like these gaming lists, hit like, subscribe, and comment your favorite game before we move on. The strange part is that the fighting itself can still be genuinely satisfying, so you keep wondering how much better it could feel with stable performance and cleaner visuals. For game number 2, WWE 2K18 feels like a wrestling match against the hardware itself. The roster and familiar presentation sound great, but slowdowns and visual compromises can drag down the experience. Crowded matches are where the problems become harder to ignore, especially when you expect smooth movement from a sports game. I like the idea of portable WWE, but this version never feels comfortable. If you want wrestling on Switch, there are much safer choices for your money today. Game number 3, Ark Survival Evolved, is a great example of a strong game meeting the wrong hardware target. The survival loop is addictive, with dinosaurs, crafting, building, and exploration. On Switch, though, the visuals are heavily stripped back, and performance can hurt the experience. That contrast is exactly why this port keeps appearing on worst Switch lists. I actually love Ark on stronger platforms, but here, the rough presentation makes the adventure feel needlessly exhausting. It remains tiring. When game number 4, Balan Wonderworld, arrived, the colorful worlds looked promising, yet the actual platforming quickly became awkward. Controls feel strangely limited, costume abilities can blur together, and the level design rarely creates the magic the visuals suggest. The biggest problem is that the game often feels unfinished, rather than charmingly simple. I wanted to like it because the art direction has personality, but every bright new stage seems to reveal another design decision that gets in the way. Game number 5, Batman Arkham Knight, sounds almost impossible to criticize because the original game is so respected. The Switch version is a different story. Gotham looks heavily reduced and muddy. Performance can collapse during demanding sequences, and the Batmobile sections are especially rough. That is painful because the combat and detective systems remain excellent underneath the technical problems. I would absolutely recommend Arkham Knight on stronger hardware, but on Switch, this port asks for too much patience from players. At game number 6, Pokémon Scarlet and Violet bring a huge open world, familiar creatures, and plenty of exploration, but technical issues have complicated the experience. Frame drops, pop-in, glitches, and inconsistent visuals can break the feeling of adventure. The Pokémon formula still has plenty of charm, so this one is more disappointing than simply terrible. I had fun catching and battling, but I kept noticing the performance instead of losing myself in the world around me. Game number 7, EA Sports FC 24, aims to bring modern football to Switch, but the version comes with obvious compromises on the Switch. Missing or reduced features, dated technology, and presentation differences make it feel behind the other versions. Football fans want quick movement and a convincing match atmosphere, so limitations stand out. I think the portable convenience is appealing, but if you own another platform, I would choose that version first. This release simply feels like a compromise. With game number 8, Hogwarts Legacy, the appeal is obvious. Explore Hogwarts, cast spells, fight enemies, and wander through a famous fantasy world. The Switch version makes that ambition difficult to maintain. Loading screens, visual reductions, and performance dips can interrupt the atmosphere, especially when moving through busy areas. It is still impressive that the game runs it all, but impressive does not always mean enjoyable. Personally, I would rather experience this magical adventure on hardware with more breathing room. Game number 9, The Outer Worlds, offers dialogue, colorful planets, companions, and flexible role-playing choices. The Switch version, however, has to squeeze that ambitious RPG into much weaker hardware. Visual quality takes a hit, environments can look muddy, and loading can drag, and performance sometimes feels sluggish. The writing and choices remain enjoyable, keeping this from being a total disaster. Still, I would prefer another platform because this is one of those ports where the compromises show. At game number 10, Saints Row, the problem isn't just ambition, but uneven execution. The open-world crime sandbox wants chaotic driving, shooting, customization, and comedy, yet the Switch experience can feel technically strained. Visuals are rougher, loading can interrupt momentum, and busy scenes do not always run smoothly. I actually enjoy ridiculous open-world games, so the concept should have worked for me. Here, though, the technical friction makes the chaos feel more tiring than exciting. That matters. Game number 11, 13, arrives with a stylish comic book identity that should make every firefight memorable. The trouble is that the remake became known for technical issues and an inconsistent finish on Switch, especially compared with what fans expected. Its cel-shaded look has personality, and the story carries you, but polish matters. I like the visual concept, yet this version feels like a missed opportunity, rather than the comeback the series deserved at launch. Its comic book style deserves better support today.
For game number 12, The Sinking City, atmosphere is the strongest weapon. Dark streets, strange mysteries, and Lovecraft-inspired horror create a setting that can pull you in quickly. Unfortunately, technical limitations and uneven gameplay choices can weaken that tension. Exploration sometimes feels clunky, combat lacks polish, and the world does not always respond as smoothly as the mood deserves. I still think the detective premise is fascinating, but this is a game I would approach carefully instead of buying blindly. Game number 13, Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood, sounds like a power fantasy on paper. You transform into a massive werewolf, tear through enemies, and switch forms during combat. The problem is that the gameplay loop becomes repetitive, stealth sections feel underdeveloped, and the presentation lacks the punch the concept promises. I really wanted the transformation system to carry the whole experience, but it never quite reaches that satisfying monster rampage feeling. It is memorable, just not for the right reasons. When game number 14, Tennis World Tour, starts a match, the basic idea is immediately understandable. Serve, return, position, and try to control every point. The problem is that this release has struggled with uneven animation, awkward movement, and inconsistent mechanics. Tennis needs precise timing, so small control issues become huge distractions. I appreciate the attempt, but the experience often feels less polished than the sport itself. Precision should be the star. There are better options for competitive players. Game number 15, Rime, is a beautiful adventure with soft colors, quiet landscapes, puzzles, and an emotional atmosphere. Sadly, the Switch version became infamous for technical issues that could distract from those strengths. Performance problems and visual compromises make exploration feel less peaceful than intended. The underlying game is actually quite good, which makes this one frustrating rather than simply awful. I love its mood and art direction, but I would still compare platforms before buying it for handheld play. At game number 16, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, the situation is more complicated. The game itself is a strong modern take on classic exploration-heavy action, with huge areas, gear, abilities, and satisfying combat. The Switch release suffered from performance and visual problems. Updates helped, but the port deserves scrutiny. I enjoy the game a lot, so this is less a bad game warning and more a choose-your-platform warning. For fans, that choice matters more than the savings of handheld convenience. Game number 17, Grand Theft Auto: The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, arrived with 3 huge names and enormous expectations. On Switch, the package struggled with visual quality, performance, and a messy first impression. Patches improved the collection, but the launch reputation still matters when deciding where to play. The games remain important and fun, especially with nostalgia. I just would not choose the Switch version first when cleaner alternatives exist on other platforms today. That makes the choice easy. For game number 18, Alan Wake Remastered, the story and atmosphere are still the stars. Dark forests, strange shadows, and flashlight combat create a distinctive thriller mood. The Switch version, though, makes heavy visual compromises to keep that experience running on portable hardware, and performance can wobble badly. It is impressive in a technical sense, but the image quality can feel muddy. I would rather play this atmospheric mystery on a stronger system, where the lighting and environments can breathe.
Game number 19, Wolfenstein Youngblood, tries to mix fast gunplay, co-op action, and a looter-shooter structure. That combination can be fun, but the Switch version has to work harder to maintain the pace. Visual reductions and performance limitations can make intense fights feel less satisfying. The game also divides players with its mission structure and progression. I enjoy aggressive shooters, so there are moments here that click, but this is not the platform where the action feels best. That hurts. At game number 20, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, the technical challenge is obvious from the first firefight. This is a demanding shooter built around speed, effects, enemies, and constant movement. The Switch port is surprisingly ambitious, but image quality drops sharply and performance can struggle during hectic scenes. The campaign itself remains excellent, with brutal action and a strong story. I respect what the port achieves, yet I still think players should choose a more powerful platform when possible. Game number 21, WRC8, wants to deliver serious rally racing with realistic handling, weather, tracks, and vehicle physics. Those systems can be demanding, and the Switch version sometimes feels like it is pushing beyond its comfort zone. Visual quality is noticeably reduced heavily, while performance can affect the sense of speed and control. I like rally games because mistakes feel earned, but technical distractions make this one harder to recommend. A stronger platform gives the racing much more room. With game number 22, Pixark, the survival formula mixes blocky building with dinosaurs and exploration. That sounds like an easy win for Switch, but the execution can feel especially rough, repetitive, and poorly optimized. The world lacks the polish of stronger survival games, while performance issues can make simple tasks more frustrating than they should be. I can see the appeal for players who love Minecraft-style creativity and Ark, but the combination never feels as satisfying as the idea suggests. Game number 23, Sonic Forces, has the speed and colorful characters people expect from Sonic, yet the actual platforming can feel strangely flat. Levels are short, controls are forgiving, and the story takes itself more seriously than the simple gameplay deserves. The Switch version is not the main problem here. The design itself is what limits the experience. I enjoy the soundtrack, but this is one Sonic adventure I would not put near the top of a buying list, honestly. At game number 24, Mortal Kombat 11, the situation is surprisingly different from some entries here. The Switch version is playable and the fighting remains deep, but visual compromises and performance differences are easy to notice beside stronger versions. The slower loading and reduced presentation can make a polished fighting game feel less premium. I still think the gameplay holds up, especially for portable sessions. But if graphics and responsiveness matter most, another platform is the smarter choice. That said, finally, game number 25, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, has a cozy premise that sounds perfect for Switch. You build a hobbit home, cook meals, decorate your home, and explore the Shire. The problem? The experience can feel slow, uneven, and less polished than the setting deserves. I love cozy games, so I wanted this one to click. Instead, it feels like a missed opportunity for fans wanting a relaxing Lord of the Rings adventure.